Senator, thanks for joining me. I'm sure the pace is pretty quick today. First, gut check on the Iranian response. It seemed like it was more symbolic for their own country people than it was for the world here just within the hour.
Well, I think it was symbolic. There is information that they actually informed the Qataris that there would be a strike. And again, I think they were playing to the home team as well as to the United States and the world. But what we have to be careful about is over time as they reorganize and that they take a more subtle and a more effective approach to retaliation. We can't rule out retaliation yet completely.
How much information did you get and when about this strike?
We got very little information. We were informed basically Saturday afternoon that there was a imminent possibility of action, but it was not defined. And then we found out through public reporting. We are getting this week, tomorrow I hope, a thorough briefing on classified setting, so we can not only find out what went on, but also ask relevant questions about not only the activity, but also the future.
As the ranking member, Senate Armed Services, do you find that, well, tell me how you find that.
Well, I think, first of all, it's consistent with the president's disdain for, and in many cases, ignoring Congress, both sides and both houses. And this is not surprising. It's unfortunate, though, because I think it helps not only to vent these things with the Congress, but also to get support from the Congress before the event. George Bush, both in Afghanistan, George W. Bush, and in Iraq, sought congressional authorization to conduct these activities, and President Trump did not do that, and seems very, disdainful of that type of request.
Well, this whole congressional tension is fascinating. We haven't declared a war since World War II, but we have had resolutions in Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. So, I mean, there is some attention to what the Constitution calls for, but unfortunately the Constitution is not wholly specific about what this, for lack of a better term, legislative approval ought to be, correct?
Well, the Constitution clearly vests the Congress with the power to declare war, but as you've indicated, that has not happened for a very long time. In its place, we have passed resolutions for the use of military force, which basically puts Congress on record as approving or disapproving the president's actions. But once again, President Trump has never, I think, sought one from us. And the problem is it sets a dangerous precedent. This action could be supported by the vast majority of Congress, but there are other actions that would be absolutely repudiated by Congress. And if the president feels he has the authority to do this, then that would be a threat to the constitutional order. So we have to take it seriously, and hopefully we can press the president and impress upon him the need to get congressional authority, or at the minimum congressional information before the strike.
Well, notwithstanding those viable concerns, does it bother you as much as it bothers me when you hear the AOCs of the world and a few other Democrats who are calling for his impeachment? I mean, look, the process of impeachment happened twice, conviction 0 for 2. Democrats may at some juncture have to have some process that has credibility, whether it be on this or any other matter. Just throwing the impeachment word around is enough to make you want to just jump off a bridge. I'm like, come on, guys. Can we take a measured approach and keep the Democratic Party somewhat credible through this whole thing?
Well, I think first we have numerous court cases that are slowly winding their way up to the Supreme Court. And the real test will be when the court decides whether the president follows their ruling. If he does it, then I think we're in the area where there's only one remedy, that's impeachment. But at this point, we're still, as I said, trying to decipher what went on, determine the right path forward, and I would not be at this point suggesting impeachment, but I am suggesting that we have to get, and not just ourselves, but our Republican colleagues, to insist that Congress has a role to play in these national security issues, a very important role.
Anybody who tries to judge this right now, I think, is crazy. Would you agree? I mean, you've got to get intel tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I think your response has been very measured. It's been, hey, look, these guys shouldn't. These guys are bad actors, and they shouldn't be nuclear powered. And if we did something to thwart that, and it fits in the context of good strategy, fine. But we don't know enough. We don't know enough.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I think also, too, history suggests that this is an extremely complicated region of the world with historic and cultural and political factors that are very difficult to understand. And the situation is one where we have to recognize it could change over time. And perhaps the Iranians now are just trying to buy some time, one, to rebuild their military and their proxy forces, but also to try more seriously and more aggressively to develop a nuclear weapon. I mean, they might come to the conclusion that that's the only thing that will save the regime. So we can, I think, assume it's all done, with one shot, it's over. We have to constantly be engaged, and we also have to recognize our engagement in this region distracts us from our support of the Ukrainians who are fighting valiantly against the Russians, our ability to pivot to Asia, to confront China, and this could complicate our military strategy for months, if not years, simply being on the watch for a more aggressive Iran.
Well, there's a little bit of chatter out of Russia about nuclear support for Iran and that kind of thing. Seems to be a lot of demagoguery going on at this point. They got their own problems, and all that stuff seems to be pretty connected between Russia's disposition, Iran's disposition, and how they're acting in their various regions. Well, but you're right. It is this mosaic is not one-to-one. It is as complicated as can be. And wouldn't the final thought here? I know you got to run. Wouldn't it be that we really have to pay attention to the totality of everybody's objectives, and that would be about 10 to 12 serious countries involved in conflict right now in that part of the world.
No, you're right. It's a global situation. Russia, as you know, has depended significantly on the Iranians for drones and for support. So there's I'm sure the Iranians right now are saying, hey, listen, we helped you, but you're going to help us. That's a factor that 10, 15 years ago would not be on the table, because I don't think the Russians would feel any obligation towards Iran. China gets 10% of its oil from Iran. They don't want to see the oil lines cut off, but they also don't want to see Iran just dissolve, or at least the regime that they're very comfortable with. So the calculations become incredibly difficult. It's not a single factor analysis. It's multiple factors and also multiple consequences, second and third order effects. And that's one of the concerns I have is I don't think the president and his national security team are prepared to undertake serious analysis on all these issues and act in a way that's in the best interest of the United States.
All right. We'll be in touch perhaps later in the week. Senator, thank you. I know you got to run for a call. Jack Reed. All right.